Good morning. Welcome in the club. No DJ today morning, but any fun. Thanks to Neeta Ragoowansi.
Perfect.
Grazie, grazie mille for this panel. I'll let you introduce your host.
Okay, thank you so much. Hello, everyone. It's 9:59. Surely okay, should we get started anyway? Are you fine with that?
No.
Do I have permission? It's 10 now? And it's 10. Boom. That's how that works. Hi, I'm Neeta Ragoowansi. Welcome to this wonderful panel about AI Amplified, Revolutionizing Music Management. How exciting. So I am your host. I'm going to keep doing this. Neeta Ragoowansi. If I start over here, eventually I'll get over there. I'm your host. I'll just give you a very quick background, and then I'll ask, actually, my panelists, as I inch my way this way, to do a quick intro on themselves. And I have a quick question for them in that intro. So by way of background, I'm president of MMF-US, which is the 30-year-old trade association for artist managers, Music Managers Forum US, and president of International Music Managers Forum, and an attorney of 30 plus years, and been really, passionate about music tech and innovation, where we can go with all of the good stuff to help all of us. And I'm super excited about AI. And I'm just going to say why I'm here today is because I'm super excited about what it can do in our management sector and our music licensing sector, rights management sector, etc. So, Stephen, tell us just that quick one or two liners on you, but why are you here? Why is this important to you?
Thanks. I'm Stephen O'Reilly. I'm a director of IE Music and IE Ventures. IE Ventures is the ventures part of our music company. We're a management company. We manage Robbie Williams and have done for 25 years. Why am I here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why is this topic important to you? Why is this topic?
Yeah, I think management business and the music business is, after the creation of the art or during the creation of the art, it's a technology business as well. So, like, at the point of creating music, it's possible to upload it and share it with the world, and it's all digital, and technology enables us to, build audiences, connect with fans, monetize those things. And our company, our management company with Robbie, he has done a lot of stuff, like one of the first live stream concerts, first pay-per-views in music. He's always been a digital disruptor, even though people would associate him with the major record label world. He's always had a very direct connection with his audience. And technology has enabled that throughout his career.
Very cool. Thank you. Thomas, who are you and why do you love this topic?
So I'm Thomas. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Managers.ai. So there is a S missing, but no one is seeing the slide anyway. So quick word about myself. I've been in the industry for more than 20 years, basically in digital all my career, starting selling ringtones at Universal Music back in the early 2000s. And spent 4 years at Midem, where I was in charge of Asia and Europe, with a big focus on artist services. And today the topic is very interesting for me on a very self-managed artist. Today, how AI can help all those millions of new music creators that arrived for the last 10 years and have no solution to start and grow a career because they don't have time, they don't have professional support, they don't have know of the industry. And we realize that this solution actually is very, let's say, interesting for managers too, because we've been talking with a lot of managers and they see in AI and all the let's say generative AI, not on the music creation part, but on the large language model or everything, bringing them more productivity and efficiency in the work they do every day. And we know manager is a very tough job and there is a lot to do. And so we are trying to crack that, helping early stage creators, but also managers by trying to help them with fixing the low added value task and everything.
Wonderful. Thank you and welcome. Hi, Jess.
Hi, I'm Jess. I'm the Executive Director of EMMA, the European Music Managers Alliance. And yeah, the reason I'm here today, I guess, is because I've worked in many, many areas of the industry over 20 years, from record labels to live to running publications, all of that kind of thing. And managers are at the center of so much. And I think it's hard to keep that in mind a lot of the time when we're looking at tech, but they're also amazing adopters of new technologies, new ideas, because they are often so able to be flexible and able to build into their work new systems, new ideas. So, they're not rarely dealing with the kind of huge structures of a major label within the inside of it, so they have a lot more flexibility. And I think that makes them a very exciting audience for technology and for advancements. And I just want to see their lives get a bit easier as the role grows and changes, which it has done a lot in the last 10 years. So as that happens, and so much more is put on them, so much more responsibility, can we look at ways to make that a bit easier? I mean...
Thank you. And Jake, why is this topic important to you? And say hello.
Hello. I'm Jake. I'm an artist manager from the UK. Normally when we have these meetings, like Managers Anonymous, we normally do them in private, so it's kind of weird having an audience. When I left school, I was confident that I was unemployable, and then it turned out that there was space for crazy people in artist management. So the reason I'm here is I'm very, very optimistic that AI can solve artist management, and then I can be completely unemployed.
Perfect. And so coming off of that positivity, because there's so much strange stigma with creators, with copyright owners, about, and artist managers, about AI is going to be doomsday. Oh my goodness, it's going to ruin, it's going to make our careers and businesses obsolete. So let's not talk about that. Let's talk about the positivity. Let's start with that anyway. We may get there eventually and into some danger zones. But Tomas, tell me, on the positive side, which I believe tell us, let's dig deeper into your company. What is the potential let's start with self-managed artists, right? There's not enough managers to go around for all the wonderful artists in our world. And and self-managed artists are definitely complaining that they have to do so much more and learn so much more in order to do stuff and get their careers and businesses going. And they get to spend very little time going in the studio or writing songs and doing and mastering their instruments. Where does your company come in and help fix that?
Yeah, so to give a bit of background, and we all know what happened for the last 20 years, but basically for music creators, there's been a lot of opportunity, and we all see some negative standpoint today and everything, but if we come back before, the first barrier that went down is creation, and now for 20 years, creation has been accessible for everyone, enable artists to create music at a lower cost, more easily, etc. And then we had the second barriers that went down is distribution. And so now an artist can be in the world in 48 hours at a very low cost. But those two very good things for creators brought new challenges. And the first one is booming of music creator. And so from media research, like the last numbers, there is right now 45 million music creators releasing on platform, which could be YouTube, SoundCloud, the normal DSPs, or social media. And additional to that number and some kind of an oversaturation of the market with, we all know, the 120,000 tracks delivered daily to Spotify, there is also a new ecosystem, and the industry is more fragmented as ever, So you have a lot of DSPs, you have a lot of artist services, information is very fragmented. And when you are a music creator entering this new space, it's very complex. And so how do you do alone, without support, without to start and grow a career. And as Neeta said, I mean, tomorrow there will be 100 million music creators, but there will be no 100 million managers. And from the last study also, I mean, I don't want to get on the study of MMF UK, but we can see, like, that has been released 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, that manager is a very tough job. And actually after 5 years, a lot of managers quit because it's not sustainable. It's very hard to make a living of being a manager. And what we saw with AI is, and especially at the beginning with generative AI for text, let's say LLM, and also artwork creation, that it can bring those creators, those early stage artists, a lot of added value. They can remove financial barrier, accessibility barrier to the industry, because if they need a biography, if they need a marketing strategy, even if it's not the top-notch marketing strategy, biography, promo pitch, etc., they can do it by themselves now. And there has been a studies released like 6 months ago in UK saying that 2/3 of the young creative between 16 and 24 years old are using AI in their creative process. And when they say creative process, could be ideation, writing song, etc., but it's also helping them on a marketing, promotional standpoint, on a legal standpoint, and everything.
Does an artist, though, have to know what to prompt? I mean, how do they get past they don't even know what they need to ask?
That's true. I mean, and that's why we come in the game. It's like, because we see a very fast adoption of those models, but still, when you're in front of ChatGPT or any other generative AI model, you don't know how to prompt, you don't know what to do, and that's the purpose of the service. It's to bring somehow a layer of industry. Sorry, it was a late night last night. A layer of professional support, and so we can now use those systems, put a layer of service on top, and provide exactly what they need, because that's true. I mean, all the artists we are talking with, they have the same problem. The streams are not going up, the fan base is not going up, etc. But they don't know how to do, and they don't know what they have to do that. So that's the idea, is how we can help them and offer them strategy, action plan that they can follow a path and try to remove a maximum of tasks.
And real quick, and then I'm going to turn to Stephen here in a moment. What, for professional established managers, such as this one here, where can AI come in? For example, your platform, or something you even haven't built yet, to help them.
So the thing, and what we've heard from a lot of management agency and managers, is that, so there is a problem. You have one artist, it's very risky. You're paid 15% in France, at least, on the revenue of the artist. But so to de-risk your business, you need to have a roster of more artists. And actually, AI can help you to automate a lot of process and help you to create much faster, can remove actually all the low added value task. And we feel that if well done with the good parameters and everything, it can really become a very strong productivity tool for managers to be able to manage a bigger roster, to be able to cut time, to be able to have people enhanced in their job because they are providing better content, better strategy in a lower time.
AI as assistive AI, as admin AI. Actually, real quick, Jake, just give us a quick, like, what is it? What are those 3 or 4 things of what is it to be a manager? Real basic, so we can think about.
If you think on business to business, so a lot of the stuff Stephen is doing is talking to the label or talking to the promoter. So across business to business, there's administrivia, there's investment, be that sweat equity or money. There is concierge services, or as we would call it, babysitting, the kind of personal stuff, which would be really hard to automate.
Right.
And did I already say admin? Administration.
Admin, investment, concierge.
Admin, investment, concierge is something else as well. Anyway.
Strategy.
Strategy. Strategy.
Yeah.
So strategy
Vision,
would be
strategy.
relatively hard to automate. Admin would be relatively easy to automate. And obviously some functionalities, you might go in for a meeting with a record company and you're partly talking about dates, admin, delivery, et cetera, and you're partly talking about strategy when the reason we picked this date was because. So the things often overlap. And then there's a whole other area which is kind of outside of the B2B, which would be much more business consumer, which would be this really stupid reductive term, superfan, which I much prefer customer relationship management, or CRM.
Cool, thank you. And so we'll get you to comment later, Tomas, on some of where your platform fits into those needs, right? And if there's other ones we haven't thought of. But Stephen, let's back up to, so we're talking about artist management, but of course part of artist management is helping your artist. And I know that you and I've talked, and you're big on technology. You see the promise, not just on the management side, but to help your artist creatively. We know we have companies here who do, have built products around and services around AI, helping on the creative side. Have you been using it? Do you want to give us some examples of why you're so into this thing?
I personally haven't really used AI technology proactively, but the artists that I work with, especially Robbie, he uses AI in his creative process. I've seen him on ChatGPT putting in interesting things, getting interesting things back. And I guess if you think of him like, from the earliest days, he collaborated, he's an amazing writer and lyricist, and Guy Chambers was his writing partner at that time. He's an amazing pianist and musician and arranger and composer. And I kind of see like the AI that Robbie uses today is like collaborating with songwriters 25 years ago. So, from that instance, even for if he wanted to create an album cover, he's kind of using, in the past you would describe that to a photographer or an artist or someone at the label or the management company, and now he can input, can you do something that looks like this but this, into AI. And in the past we still have those creative partnerships with the best creatives on the planet, but I've seen him start to use AI in his creative process as well. And for me as a management company, it's just so much to do, and like we have all of these amazing tools out there over the last 15 years, platforms, data, insights, analytics, CRM, all of this kind of stuff. And a lot of the time you're going on intuition and, accepted practice. And there's so much to decipher with all of these tools. It takes time, So I think like AI, I kind of think of like actionable insights. There's another kind of AI. It's like the technology will help you to make decisions. So it will say, well, how about this? Like these triggers that will be helpful in your marketing or your planning or your routing or your, where do you focus on a campaign? Like these things, usually you're going on instinct or what people did in the past. And now I think AI will be really helpful in those aspects of managing a career.
Yeah. I mean, at MMF, we've always found it so helpful to have managers talking to managers, right? It's like they really need that sort of, that feedback constantly, that resource to rely upon. And now it's sort of that feeling of AI coming in and helping. But I know, just we'll get to that because I'm just sort of foreshadowing upon topics to cover. But I wanted to come back to the idea of, where it's been helping your artist to do better, or to make life a little easier, or come in at it in a different way. It's fabulous. What about though? How about? I know that Robbie Williams owns a lot of his own rights, right? How does it help in rights management? Have you, or what is the promise or the potential you're seeing there?
We're having a lot of conversations with folks who allege that they've got this amazing technology that uses AI to make sure your songs are registered properly all around the world. Because there's a lot of, you've hundreds of songs, hundreds of collecting societies, different writers, splits, etc. And for 20 years, people have been saying, like, technology will make it more accurate, faster. And then, but then everybody that comes to visit us says they can do better. You know what I mean? And sometimes, you give them all the data, and then they come back a month later, and it's like, actually, everything seems to be going okay. So I hope that, like, things like AI will, in the kind of rights management space, will work effectively and live up to the promise, because everybody promises they can do a better job, and then you give them everything they need, and then, so I hope it's not another false dawn. Let's see.
Yeah. Jake, have you, in rights management space, have you been seeing any cool AI or having discussions?
Very similar to what Stephen said, is you'll get people who say, we've discovered the secret sauce, we can do this. So, for example, a number of years ago, someone was like confident that they could directly analyse every single radio station in Germany and work out completely accurate playlists, and therefore they could say to you, your artist was played at this time on this station for they could cover all of Germany at all times, all days, all stations. And so they said, therefore you can go and invoice the Collection Society. So I said, well, you can't, because their distribution policy and their licensing policy varies. You have no idea how much they collected. It's just, and their distribution policy will not be, we pay against all of everything. It'll be, we take a sample and things like that. So there is a optimism within technology that doesn't always connect with the idealized image or assumptions they make about the music industry.
Jess.
Yeah, I think we see this a lot, where we need to address very specific problems that are actual problems, because there are a lot of systems in place, and also it's a very complex industry, like you're saying. Like, it's not always clear, I think, when tech solutions are being built, about why the industry exists as it does now, why we collect money, or things are done in this way with German radio stations specifically, or something like that. And it leads to solutions that are not particularly usable. And so I think with managers especially, because the role is so vast, because there are so many things to concentrate on, we need to pick really specific things. Like, actually, where I see some optimism is when we can pick a problem and focus on that one problem, be it generation of digital content for social media, or some element of rights management, but maybe very specifically for making sure you register or report on what you're playing live, or something like that, where it's so niche and focuses on something that actually is a problem. A lot of solutions promise great things and amazing things, but they're much harder to integrate in managers' careers, because they have some systems set up, and you can't just take everything out. You need to focus on those smaller items, and they're much more easier to integrate, and then you can build on those. So anyone, in the audience who is building or looking at ideas, I think that's something to hold. Really identify a problem and start dealing with that, rather than saying, okay, your organizational system, we're going to do the whole thing, because that is vast.
Yes, it is. And what I mean, I felt like you had a thought here on this.
Yeah, I was just going to maybe comment that that kind of, like, where you've got technology that's going out working for you, finding this thing's not properly like, it's constantly, like, the way Google crawls the internet to find, like, Google, like, their technology, every second it's working hard to improve their whole business, and it all feeds into a central brain, literally. I think AI within our world, it would be helpful if tools that folks create have in mind the problem that I have, and or the problems that I don't even know I have, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm really excited about AI, where it's constantly out working for you and looking for things and improving and helping and pinging you, say you got to fix this, or this is not right. These people are being paid too much or not enough. I think that's because manually it's really difficult in the analog kind of way. Yeah.
I definitely see like kind of I think two main areas that are really interesting to me. One being this kind of admin and organizational side, maybe some of the stuff that we don't even know we have a problem with. And then the other side of things is, artists are considered and managers creative people, but that doesn't mean they're good at all creative elements. So helping inspire that creation or specifically address some of that kind of, it could just be, I need an idea for doing a video or how should I do a marketing campaign or something like that. It can be something that just gives you a roadmap.
Trigger.
Yeah, the trigger.
Yeah.
And maybe you do it a couple of times and you say, that's not for me. That's not for me. Oh, that suits my brand. I like that. So that kind of inspirational side of things.
Yeah, and maybe like just to quickly add to that one, through managing someone like Rob, like that's what he needs as well. Like when they're writing songs, sometimes if it doesn't come quickly, they move on to the next thing. So AI technology can help you and like give you 5 ideas in 5 seconds. You give it a little bit of input, and then it gives you back something a second later in the creative process.
I'm not being intentionally silly, but that's kind of similar to what the Beatles did, where they reinvented themselves through hallucinogenics in India. It's an input, isn't it?
It's a new hallucinogenic.
It's a new hallucinogenic.
Yeah.
Tomas, are you sitting here going, I know, I did this. Which elements of this do you feel like you've built?
So we are really at the beginning, but I mean, I join you on the ideation help of the system today. I mean, of course, it's not perfect. Of course, I think maybe we'll talk later about bias of those models.
Yes.
But in terms of content creation, and again, I mean, I'm gonna tell it again, but try to help on the task that has very low value. Being able to automate stuff, being able to create your agent, that you are your PR guy, your social media guy and stuff, and have a first draft. I mean, it's not the final product because we are not there yet. I mean, there are still, I mean, the human component is still there and very big into that. And then to come back to what a little disclaimer, we are not there to replace managers. We are there to help managers to be more productive, save more time, and yeah, I mean, like, I would not go into right management, but for now, I think everybody using a bit those systems can see that it's earning a lot of time, it's saving a lot of time, it makes you more creative, it gives you some ideas, give you some, for a French guy, more vocabulary when I talk in English, and so yeah, we see that is
I think
very
we
efficient.
definitely all see it that way, that you're not Elon Musk trying to replace the driver, you're Google Maps helping the driver.
Right now. So Jake. Sorry.
No, just
translations. Yes.
Translation's really important.
Yeah, translation is important.
And that's an interesting piece because translation, yes, language, yes. But Jake, so you've traveled a lot. You've helped start up some, an MMF India and MMF Zimbabwe, advising those chairs over there to build their communities and their trade associations. And I'm sure in that you've seen that business is done differently. And so if we talk about inputs or trainings of AI in a management space.
So if you thought of 3 layers, an admin layer, so you might go, UK might have 20% as a management rate, France might have 15%, just like with elements of AI legal, you could input national parameters, legal parameters. Then there's a layer above that, which would be the culture. So for example, in some countries, in Indonesia, they sell a lot of CDs still, so they're making money from that. In some markets, they're making a lot of money from live. In other markets, Spotify, say Sweden, Spotify is very important. So there's variations in strategy, therefore, based on what you're trying to do. It's not like McDonald's. It's kind of the same business, maybe a different menu, but kind of the same business globally. But then there's another whole other layer, which is where you move out of thinking about what is the local standardization, for example, the percentage that you pay, or the business plan of the artist, but so one skews towards live music, one skews towards recorded music, into what is the culture of the audience. And the audience is truly international. And then at that point, with customer relationship management, you're really not worried about the local details. You've done that layer. So, for example, if you take a country like Japan, and there's the absolute expert on Japan in the front row here, so I'm being very careful. In the UK, we're all going on about super fans and stuff at the moment. The Japanese are like, guys, fan clubs. We've been doing this for ages. And the Japanese management model is quite different. It's much more of a equivalent to, in simplistic terms, a film producer creating product and content with the artist, whereas the UK manager would much more be a middleman between the artist and the label, the artist and the publisher. So some of the differences would be really on the focus of the business, such as live or recorded, but then you might go into other markets where the attention is much more, in Japan, on the customer relationship management, which the rest of the world is slowly catching up with. We keep talking about super fans. It's like, go to Japan and ask them.
Yeah. No, and Japan's a great example, and I'm thinking of India as well. I mean, Jake, what in India, right? A manager is also the booking agent, for example. You know, a nuance that could really make a big difference if we're only training on U.S. Western Europe,
for sure.
right? Types of
there would be a lot of
music industry models. Is there any other
categories.
sort of, if you were
So
saying, hey, India,
India
how would you use
is
AI?
a great example of where I'm saying that we should worry less about country and more about what the genre is or who the audience is. So the traditional model in India was around Bollywood films. The film would break a song. The artist, who was the performer, not the songwriter, would become successful because the song was used in the film. It would be the #1 record. And then slowly, I think 2 or 3 years ago, they got to more than 50% was what they call independent music, which was really based around hip-hop. So the hip-hop managers are much more focused on brand deals, not so interested in film as a promotional tool. And then a lot of the reason for the brand deals is locally the ticket value, the ticket sale is so low that you're relying on a company like Coca-Cola to get 100,000 people together in a field and pay the artist and promote Coca-Cola to the audience. So the subtleties of it, where you might have a hip-hop manager in India who's trying to work with Coca-Cola and a hip-hop manager in the UK who's trying to work with Universal Records.
Tomas, are you, I know you all are working sort of on that international mapping.
Yeah,
What's some of the work you're doing there?
Yeah, I mean, so 2 things on that. Yeah, I mean, I join you. There is differences. Maybe we don't think anymore about countries, but more about where your audience is in terms of, I mean, that's what you said last time.
We don't quite have the language, isn't it? But it's markets.
Yeah,
You might call
exactly.
it the hip-hop market.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And so yeah, the idea is how we can bring also this professional layer in the system. And what we see, to come back to that, we actually, in terms of investment, we are talking with a lot of investors, and we already have 3 investors from Africa, actually, who invested in the company because they see a very added value on countries where structuration of the market is not then there yet, and right management is not there yet, and it's very complicated in terms of educational process for the artists to know how to do. So actually I think those AI models can help also leveling the play field for a lot of artists and also for managers, because when you are managers, I don't know, in South America, in Africa, or even in Europe, I mean, you sometimes don't know what to do if you are a young managers and everything. So, yeah, the international component is a very strong thing also to help.
That's an advantage, isn't it? Because we've had too much historical of, say, Zimbabwean managers coming to the UK and saying, tell me what management is, and I regurgitate to them what I know, and it's completely irrelevant for them.
Yeah.
Right, and folks from all sorts of other continents saying we want to come to the U.S. to Berkeley, or any of our other wonderful colleagues, right, in the university space to have a management, music business degree in a program, and it's like what they learn is not applicable. I mean, every time I talk to a student who's just graduated, and they're going back home, it's just not applicable to their market, and they're having to. I mean, it's good to have the education, right, and understand different ways to do business. But I suppose, in a way, it makes them creative thinkers. 'Cause they
Ultimately,
have
this
to-
is a case for AI, isn't it? Because it's much more modular. So that it's the cost of you creating an extra module for a market, be it a genre or a country, is much lower than for management company to go and open an office and learn.
Just to quickly add, like some very successful managers over the last 15 years have like not had a management background whatsoever. Like, so Scooter Braun is a good example. He found Justin Bieber on YouTube, you know what I mean? And then like he built his business model from that day, kind of, you know, it's, okay, there's this kid on YouTube. How do we do something with it? You know, it's not as if he came from being, owning a management company, running a management company. So he started with a fresh mindset, and then like I met Post Malone's manager last year, who found Post Malone on YouTube as well, but he would never worked at a management company. He wasn't a manager, so he's got a different mindset, like built around YouTube and TikTok, rather than like Sony, Warner, Universal, and that, you know.
The only concern I have about this whole area
Yeah.
is with your company, with IE,
Yeah.
you guys, everyone's like, oh, there's a Robbie Williams company. You've done so much. And an artist called Sia, who you guys had for a while, was really a template for being independent and working on building her own audience. And that was work that you guys did with her, developed. And so within IE, you've trained up many people and you've promoted staff internally. And at the point where a lot of the basic roles are passed on to the machine, you might find that you're training fewer people through to come up. And that's my only concern about this, is development of new talent.
Yeah, it's a real risk. Maybe the other thing I would add is that Tim, who was the founder of, Tim and David were the original founders of our company. They're no longer at the company anymore, but they were always very open-minded about technology and embraced it. You know, two old guys, but also very passionate about digital disruption. You know, but they came from the major label world in the 70s, really successful, and they were prepared to, so they took the best of the old, and then the possibility of the new, you know what I mean, and embracing it, which ultimately made our company more successful. So matching the old, which is knowledge, and you can learn a lot of this stuff, you know what I mean. If you're a manager today, there's just great things on YouTube where you can learn, and there's great books you can read, but then you can have today's mindset as well, taking the best of the past and the future.
Sorry, I just wanted to jump on that and kind of come back to something you said earlier, Neeta. But we did a lot of research into the management sector at Emma. We released a big report earlier this year, and we found that 60% of managers almost work completely alone, like no staff with them. They're having to come up with everything themselves. And this leads to a pretty competitive industry where maybe there's a bit of mystification. How did you do that? How did that happen? And what was impactful for this artist at this time? And so this is something I really hope that we can see a bit more, is that kind of sharing of information. Okay, well, around you, people have sold this kind of merch and it's worked really well. So maybe consider that. Or at this point, someone else has actioned this kind of thing. This could be an option for you. And it doesn't have to be things that you actually do, but that demystification maybe could help solve that issue in some way of not training people, because it will allow the knowledge to be shared.
I'm waiting for the day where it's quite scary. We have like digital people and marketing and different people doing different jobs, and you might say, we got a new album coming out, what's the campaign to the digital person? And then we're not far away from here's the plan, and then AI, like the artist might go to the AI and say, here's what the digital guy says, what do you say? Like that, those kind of things are coming. It's scary, because you have to be on top of your game as a manager, to like prove that your plan works, but then you also should not be afraid of being wrong or
or new ideas.
New ideas, yeah.
I mean, it's nice to have the AI to give you confirmation that you're kind of in this box. But then, yes, the human element of always challenging oneself to go and color outside the lines and to go be outside of the box is a crucial element of innovation, isn't it?
I worry that people think that AI is keeping us all inside the box. You know,
Interesting. I'm glad you said that.
yeah, just templating marketing plans or templating ideas, but I think it really that underestimates the creative power of managers and musicians. Like there are so many different ways that they can take those ideas into new spaces, or use them, as we were saying before, for inspiration. So actually, it's. I really, truly hope that for good managers and creative artists, it will help them think outside of what they normally do instead.
I'm just hearing a Madonna song in my head right now for inspiration. I don't want to end on a note about ethical considerations. And I realized I was going there. But, are we at time? We have 5. I'd actually love to take some questions or comments from the audience because we have some wonderful, brilliant minds. Taka, you go first.
So I have a question. Hello. Thank you for an amazing panel. So, and I was wondering, now the composer and songwriters and then also the performing artists are really kind of scared about the training data as the sucked as a training data. So the managers will be you guys gonna be scared about the training data from your experience in some way. I don't know how, but you're gonna be scared about, or you're gonna be happy to contribute some kind of a corrective the mind.
I don't think you can stop it. You know, I just think the genie is out of the bottle. I don't think you can stop it. You have to embrace it. Some of it is very worrying, but what do? You can't stop technology people creating and using technology to create better technology. And there's artists that are just going to jump on it and there could be like an artist who will duet with a fake version of himself that he found. You know what I mean? You can find a Drake-like track. So Drake could do something with a fake Drake. There will be artists who are doing it and will do it. And it's kind of like 20 years ago when you had digital distribution. It's going to fucking kill the business. We're not going to sell CDs anymore. But it created a whole new economy. And this, digital distribution, like everybody was scared of it. And now it's really the greatest thing. People might say, we don't get paid enough. That's a different argument. It's still amazing to be able to have that thing at the touch of a finger.
You want to get paid?
Yeah, I think, people are still going to continue to get paid. There's going to be problems. Someone will fix the problems. It's going to be messy. It will be messy, and it is scary, but can't stop it.
Thank you. Amazing.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I was wondering if AI is a good side of it, and maybe, I guess Thomas' venture is in that sense one of them, will help to reduce the burdens of admin and a lot of shitty stuff, so spare some time. You guys, managers, what are you going to do with that time?
Go to the pub.
That's what I was expecting.
Well, maybe take on more artists. Like that's a huge part of it. We're seeing. We found in our research managers were working with between 3 and 4 artists generally, and that's just not enough to sustain a lot of managers. Like the income from that is really hard to live on and build a true career out of. So if we can, I don't want to say that this is the answer because not everyone wants to work with more artists. Maybe they'll work more deeply with
or
the
like the other answer, because there's different answers. The other answer is work less. You work too fucking much. You're always working. Like I lie in bed at 10 o'clock at night thinking about things. I wake up at 6 in the morning thinking about things, and hopefully these kind of tools and technologies will help us.
That's also a general trend, isn't it? I'm sure some of the lawyers in the room would find that their staff are less likely to come in on a Friday and things like that. Yeah. It's a general trend.
I mean, but I am excited about the fact that artist managers could take more on, because there's so many artists that need help. And I think that there are some amazing genius artists that are just drowning in having to figure out how to do their marketing and their social media and
Touring.
all the rest. And if there could be some assistance in that area, we might get their next Sgt. Pepper's, or Exile on Main Street or whatever, right? So that there could be some real genius that comes out. There's tons of genius to name. Yes, go ahead.
I'm wondering if, related topic is the issue of discovering new talent. Is this something that's on the minds of managers, or is it actually the other way around, that there are too many artists, so to speak? Yeah. And to what extent are you using, or are managers using tools, data-driven tools, to discover new talent?
There's a spectrum that there's an artist out there who's in their bedroom doing something completely different from everyone else, so therefore the data does not apply and will not signpost them, who will blow up and become the next big thing, and we will all rush towards them, offering them large checks, trying to absorb them into the industry. And then there's other ends where it's like, okay, this is the new ABBA and we've built it with AI and data and whatever. So it's a spectrum, and increasingly what we're finding with the entertainment industry is we're moving away from one size fits all towards bespoke models for audience clusters and groups, and there's tremendous value in that. We have to learn much more about the value of the engagement and the relationship, and less about the productized commodification of music. So the answer to all these questions generally is yes. So you could do that, or you could do this. It'll all apply.
Yeah, quickly, 'cause I guess we're running out of time. I think the tools that are available to go out and find new artists are amazing, but everybody has access to them. So, if you're thinking you're finding that artist, there's probably 1,000 other people thinking the same thing. So my belief is that, as a manager, you have to be, in a position where people will come to you because of what you've done in the past, what you're doing now, and what your plan is for the future. So if it's not a fluke that Irving Azoff is managing U2, and he's managing Harry Styles. Completely different things. It's based on what he's done in the past and what he's going to do in the future. So I don't want to be in the lottery business, if you know what I mean. And I think people have been really successful in finding things like Scooter Braun with Justin Bieber and Dre London with Post Malone. They found them on the internet, amazing, and built $100 million businesses. But it's not something that excites me. I've found bands and done things with them, but it's not the best use of my time. I've no interest in scouring the internet and trying to... And it takes 10 years probably, or 5 years, making nothing, probably making no money for 5 years, and then your artist could leave you overnight.
The Scooter Braun thing is a brilliant example of the efficiencies that AI can add. So when Scooter was specifically looking for an artist like Justin Bieber and searching for young boys singing, etc., when he found the one that he knew was good, he couldn't work out where the hell he was or who he was, because there was no information on the channel. And it took him quite a long time and some detective work to work out that he was Canadian. And then it took him quite a long time to convince Bieber's mum that he was legit. Yeah. And so a lot of that process, the discovery, the strategy, the inspiration of thinking I want a Bieber and finding a Bieber, that bit doesn't go away, but there's efficiencies can come in administering that.
Yes. Well, I want to thank my amazing panelists and you for being here today. And so thank you, and applause.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. Thanks.
Thank you very much to all five. Very interesting, and the beautiful manager of this panel.
Thank you ever so much. Merci beaucoup. Merci.